Welcome, everybody. This is episode 48, Friday at 5, almost 45 p.m. in the afternoon. Coach, how are you feeling?
Oh, man. Right now, sick.
Yeah.
But overall, pretty decent. Besides last weekend, but
Yeah.
that was fun.
Yeah, last week was interesting. Last week...
Yeah, we should probably talk about that. 'Cause
Yeah,
we missed
yeah.
an episode.
It was the double B's, right? You had a bee sting and I had a birthday.
Yeah.
Our good friend Conrad here just found out he was allergic to bees in the worst way.
Yes.
Got a bee sting and ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
all right, I forgive you for not texting me back now.
Meanwhile, I was in the process of trying to figure out if I was going to do something for my 33rd birthday. But at the time, I was trying to connect with Conrad, and I just couldn't get a hold of him. And so I just pretty much was just like, well, it doesn't look like we're going to pod this weekend. So I guess I'll be celebrating my birthday and figuring that out. So, yeah, come to find out, the day right before my birthday, Conrad is able to finally get in touch with me. And he's like, you're not going to believe it. And I'm like, believe what? He's like, I was in the hospital. I said, for what? And he said, a bee sting. I said, oh, get the fuck out of here. But I understand how those things go. Allergies are nothing to play with, you know what I mean? Especially if you're unaware of them. And a lot of people don't really know sometimes if they are allergic to bee stings until they actually get stung. There's not really like an allergy test for that as it is for like, peanut allergies and other things like that. So I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're still here with us. My birthday was pretty good. I turned 33 on Monday, which was Labor Day. So while it was a hospital weekend for you, it was a barbecue weekend for others. So
when you say 33, you multiply that by like 2, right? And
yeah.
I thought it was going to start with a 4.
Yeah, kiss my ass, Conrad. Kiss my ass. As always, the underlying little plot here for Conrad is that he always loves to call me old. But I am not that old. I am just getting better with time, Coach.
You're not old at all, Coach. You're still young.
Absolutely. But really quickly, I do want to talk about the fact that we have our hoodies here.
Yes, we do.
That say, please no RSVP on Sunday. We'll probably get a better picture of these so we can post it on our socials. But these are the hoodies that we have created. We told you that that episode when Conrad just kind of came up with that out of the blue, and I was just like, merch has to be that. We finally put something together, so when we take pictures of this and post it, please let us know if you like the hoodies. If you do, then we will definitely try to create like an online shop for any and everybody that's part of the community to go and grab these hoodies as football season has started.
Yes.
Really quickly, Coach, Dallas, Philadelphia just yesterday. What you think?
Yeah, I mean, same old Eberflus.
Yeah.
Not blitzing, no blitz packages, and then started blitzing a little too late. But man, it was a fun football game to watch. Like it
was crazy.
It could have been the most like dramatic like week 1 game we've seen in a while. Like
in a minute, you had a little bit of everything.
Bro, off a kickoff, we got people spitting on each other.
You got injuries.
Yeah.
You got guys getting ejected.
We got game-winning drives. Like
yes,
it's a whole bunch of stuff.
All type of stuff. And we find out that CeeDee Lamb can't catch a football to save his life.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. But hey, man.
It is what it is. The first week.
I'm going to say something. Dak Prescott
look good.
Look good, Coach.
He
was
looked
playing
really
on time.
good. Jalen looked good too.
That too. He was playing on time. Really was trusting his pocket this year.
Yeah,
and I think that's a big thing.
So if this is what we're going to get this season from quarterbacks, this is going to be a good NFL season. If this is what it looks like from the quarterback play all around.
Hey, I mean, we get another nice quarterback matchup tonight. You know,
yes,
we
got
do. Patrick Mahomes versus Justin Herbert in Brazil.
And we're not going to preview that game, but we're going to just highlight the fact that is tonight. So we're going to try to get to this because we know everybody is ready on that game for this evening. All right, Coach. You know how it goes. We always start with the halftime give and go. You know the rules, and the rules must apply. I guess I'll still keep it in drive right now.
Go for it, man.
All right. To start off, the top is on me. Let's talk about Trey Hendrickson really quickly. I just wanted to mention with him that he got his deal. Obviously, it's just a one-year deal. It's not a long-term deal. It allows him to be an unrestricted free agent next offseason. I think for Cincinnati, this is maybe the best that they could have done right now. But I do feel that it's going to make it very difficult for them next offseason to have a chance of getting him back on their roster, which means there are going to be a lot of NFL teams opening up their salary caps to try to get Trey Hendrickson on their roster next season. So we'll see how that goes, but good for Trey Hendrickson to be locked in for this season. All right, still on me, Kenny Pickett, the former quarterback, Steelers quarterback, and obviously – technically a Super Bowl champion because he was with the Philadelphia Eagles last season, which is crazy. But he's been traded to the Las Vegas Raiders, and we'll get into that more later as to how that can really implicate and really impact some people on the Cleveland Browns. But I hope Kenny Pickett can do well in Las Vegas as a backup quarterback, and hopefully he'll be able to learn under that system with Pete Carroll as well as Tom Brady being able to groom him as well. All right, Coach Adam Thielen, what do you got? He's been traded back home. What do you think of that?
He's home. Honestly, a most-needed move for Minnesota. Jordan Addison is out for at least, I think, the first 4 games of the season. So, week 1, Monday Night Football in Chicago, not going to be playing. He's probably one of the best wide receiver 2s in the league at the moment. So they went ahead and made the transaction for Adam Thielen. I think it's a great move, bringing back a guy that already has some familiarity with Justin Jefferson and company. And I think it's going to show that it was a great move. He's still got some juice left in the tank, in my opinion.
Totally agree. All right, Coach. The Bears finalized their roster. They have their 53-man roster. Do you think it's a good one, or do you think that they missed some opportunities on this roster?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely missed opportunities, I think, with trades that could have occurred and maybe should have occurred. But I do like some of the guys we got to see in the preseason make the roster, like Jahdae Walker. Absolutely balled out in training camp and balled out in those preseason games as well. Bears ultimately going with 3 quarterbacks. Austin Reed not making that roster.
Yep.
They've got the veteran in the QB room, and I think it's overall pretty deep roster. But we got to see if that will come to fruition.
Absolutely. All right, and Coach, who do you have next on there?
Rashee Rice is next up. The Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver 1 is suspended for the first 6 games of the season.
Yeah. For
speeding. I don't know. It just seems like a trend in the NFL right now.
Yeah, man. These guys can't drive.
No. I guess maybe they could drive because they're not crashing, but they're driving recklessly, and huge blow for them because we know how good of a receiver Rashee Rice is when he's on the field, but that's also something you got to take into consideration when making rosters. You got to have players that could stay on the field.
Absolutely, and last but not least, it's back on me. To give respect to probably the greatest Rice to play in the NFL at the wide receiver position. Jerry Rice has technically officially retired. I had no idea that this entire time he was still actively able to join an NFL roster because he wasn't technically retired.
That's crazy.
Which is insane. But he recently retired, I think, on the 24th of this year. And so he signed a one-day contract with San Francisco to officially retire 49ers. So kudos to Jerry Rice. Kudos to your Hall of Fame career. And we will probably never see a wide receiver like you in our lifetime. All right, Coach, we want to remind everybody to always follow and subscribe to the Halftime Pod on YouTube. Please click that notification bell and like and comment and do everything else that you're doing, but never, ever, ever forget to click that bell so that way you're always notified of everything that we're doing, and subscribe to the channel so that way you can become part of this wonderful halftime community where you can always be updated by the best sports coverage on all digital platforms, as well as reminding everyone to follow both myself and Coach Conrad at Coach KDZ, and following me, Coach Malcolm, at Coach M_got_it on all of our social platforms if you ever want to communicate and talk with us about anything halftime or basketball related. All right, Coach, you ready to play our game?
Let's do it.
All right. You know our game, ladies and gentlemen. It's who's cooking and who should stay the out the kitchen. Number one on Who's Cooking. I wanted to give some love to the NFL front offices prior to when the season started, and even still to now. A lot of them are just shaking and moving and grooving. They're signing guys, cutting guys, trading guys. I mean, it seems like for the most part, most organizations right now are not satisfied with what they have, and a lot of them are going about doing the due diligence to try to add pieces that they feel like can help them win games throughout the course of this season. And I am impressed by that. I enjoy that. I like that as a fan. I want to see that the organizations are trying to do their best to put the best product on the floor. And I hope that this is something that will carry over to the lesser organization and league in the NBA, where NBA front offices can look at what's going on in the NFL and be just as unsatisfied with the rosters that they have coming into the season and be willing to tinker and do things as the season goes. What do you think of how the NFL front offices have been pretty much handling business all around the league so far?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we haven't seen an offseason like this in quite some time, where we just have major moves and, like, the Philadelphia Eagles just lost. I believe they showed the stat like 12
guys on defense.
Yeah, which is insane, you know. So it's crazy to see how they're still able to bounce back on Thursday Night Football, first day of the official NFL season starting, and still able to pull out a win.
Yeah.
And what first was a shootout, and then after
the first half of football, pretty much.
Yeah, and then after a weather stoppage, the defense really started to hone in there. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely exciting to see all these GMs finally, like, making these moves. Like, we've been accustomed to just seeing kind of the more top teams trying to make the moves, and that's why they're the top teams every year. Like, you've got the Baltimores, you've got the Kansas Cities, like, you've got all these other teams that constantly are making moves every single year. And then you've got rosters like the Cleveland Browns, and you've got the Vegas Raiders now, right? And even this year, like, they have been making more and more moves.
And trying.
So that's encouraging to see. It puts the NFL in a good spot because it just brings a whole greater level of competitiveness, I think, between the organizations.
Absolutely. All right, let's continue to move on to who else is cooking. I want to show a little bit of love back to the WNBA. We haven't talked about them in a minute. And I want to show a little love to the hometown hottie, Angel Reese for the Chicago Sky. She has been pretty much balling this entire season, averaging about 15 to 13. She has accumulated the most double-doubles in the first two seasons by any WNBA athlete in WNBA history. Now, the record for the Chicago Sky is still abysmal, but that is more so due to the fact that I don't think the team has all the right pieces right now yet to compete at a high level in the WNBA. But Angel is still doing the things that is required of her. She's still growing into the role of being a playmaking forward and bringing the ball up. So I am excited in some of her growth and development. A lot of her leadership could probably get a little bit better, but that comes with maturity and growth. And as she ages, I'm sure she'll get better at it. Right now, it appears that there are some frustrations with the fact that they're losing, and she hasn't been one to be a part of too much losing for the majority of her athletic career, even in high school and in college. So with that being said, Miss Double Double, how do you feel about her?
Yeah, I mean, she's been playing a sensational brand of basketball recently, and she really has started to improve and kind of grow into that role of that playmaking forward that the Chicago Sky want her to be, and it's been dope to see. Like last year, no way did I think this was gonna be the role they pivot her into, and I think it's a good move for the future. Like, not just now, but also in these next couple of years. Like, you know, they had a pretty strong draft this last offseason, and then hopefully next year with some more top prospects coming into the league, they could land some of those, especially with their lesser record this year. The hope is that they could land some of those top prospects. So, I mean, Chicago Sky basketball definitely trending upwards, although the record doesn't show that, but we see the core people, like the core players, really starting to grow together, especially Angel.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to our favorite part of the game, Coach, and that is who should be staying out the kitchen. And I want to just get this right off the top. Coach Kevin Stefanski for the Cleveland Browns has no idea what he is doing in the quarterback room. Zero idea. Is it Joe Flacco? Is it Dylan Gabriel? At the time, it was also Kenny Pickett, but since they traded him, now it's just Shedeur Sanders, just those three. And prior to the Kenny Pickett trade, which we'll get into a little bit later, there was ideas that maybe one of the quarterbacks was going to leave, but then Andrew Berry kept coming out and saying, no, we're going to keep our 4 quarterbacks. And then it went from 4 quarterbacks to 3. So it seems like there's so much confusion about what to do at the quarterback position, even from the head coach, that is starting to make it seem, for me, it's very alarming, and it's starting to make it seem like nobody over there knows what they're doing, or there seems to be a tug and pull of so many different directions of where the quarterback position or who should be playing the quarterback position for the Cleveland Browns. From the head coach perspective, it looks like it could be Joe Flacco. From the owner perspective, it might be Dylan Gabriel because that's potentially the young quarterback that he wanted. And then from the GM perspective, it looks like Andrew Berry is kind of leaning with Shedeur. So I don't know what's going on there. It looks absolutely crazy. But for him to be the head coach, he looks like he absolutely has no idea what the hell he is doing. And so therefore, I feel like obviously because he's the head coach, he can't get out the kitchen. But he needs to get somebody to help him right now, pronto, learn how to make a dish that is somehow favorable and delicious enough for us to return back to what seems to be the Cleveland Browns situation right now.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about how he's handling the quarterback situation in Cleveland?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely is a tough one, and I do think it is your second thought as to what's going on. Like, I do believe it really just is like a tug of war of just the different powers in the organization, between the owner, between the GM, and then he's got a mind of his own. You know, I think he's definitely all over the place trying to put together this depth chart, and I think Dylan Gabriel being quarterback 2 is kind of crazy, but that's a conversation for another time. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely not a problem you want to have. I feel like you could definitely have problems in different positions at times. Quarterback is probably not the problem you want to have. So definitely alarming, not surprising because it's Cleveland. Cleveland sucks. Cleveland doesn't win. I mean, like Joakim Noah said, who the heck's trying to go to Cleveland?
Who vacations? Who thinks of vacation and goes to Cleveland?
Exactly.
Joakim not lying, bro.
He's not lying
He's
at
not
all.
lying at all.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
Yes.
The proof is in the pudding. Like,
Yes.
they have not put out a solid producing team in quite some time. Although they did have their stint a couple of years ago when, you know, Myles Garrett was, of course, still doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And Denzel Ward, that defense was flying all over the field.
And the Guardians had like a season or two of looking like they had
that
some
as
promise.
well. And Kevin Stefanski was coach of the year at one point. So, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily the coach problem. I think it really is just everything going on in the organization is such.
It's just full of confusion.
Yes, it just straight confusion.
Yeah. All right, moving on to another entity that should be preparing themselves to get thrown out the house, and that is sports officials across all leagues, but specifically we're going to talk about the NFL and the NBA. Look, for the last, I would say 4 to 5 seasons, fans have been complaining immensely about the way games have been officiated and how referees have been fucking games up. For the love of God and for the love of all things athletic and sports related, for all of you officials, please stay the hell out the way of these games. Let the players decide. If it's not something that's completely egregious, hold your flag, hold your whistle. Please give us as fans, and I'm looking directly into the camera, please give us as fans an opportunity to watch the game in some form of a pure, I guess, situation for at least us to walk away from it and say, you know what? I actually think that team won. I actually think that player hit the shot, or I think that player put himself in a position to make that happen, and that's why that team won. And not the referee called the bad call yet again. The referee threw a flag at the most improper time. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that I personally this season, specifically from the NBA and the NFL, because that is what's coming around the corner, I need them to stay the hell out the way. Otherwise, they are going to ruin another season of NFL and NBA fanfare for all of us who love watching these sports.
Yeah, I mean, it's just quick sidebar, like it's in the MLB too. A lot of these umpires have been ruining these games with
Really?
very inaccurate strike calls and ball calls. It's been absurd.
Isn't that why they're potentially trying to move to some like AI version of like umpiring and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, at least they're considering it.
Exactly.
That would suck though.
Yeah, that would suck. It would blow, but I mean, it's what it's come down to because I mean, of course, human error is a real thing, but I think human ignorance isn't something that belongs in sports officiating. And
no.
I feel like that's what we have at all levels of major sports right now. Whether we talk about soccer, baseball, and of course football and basketball, we have it at every level. And you know, just to point out, like last night's affair, like with Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott. I mean, crazy, of course, disrespectful, but you're gonna eject the best player on the Eagles defense
right out the gate
before he even plays a snap. You know what I mean? Like,
so,
like I saw the situation,
yeah.
and like I saw why Jalen Carter was upset. Like people were saying, "Oh, well, Dak spit first. Dak spit at the ground."
Yeah.
Then started walking up to Jalen, talking about
whatever he was saying.
Yeah, he was saying like, "Oh no, like that was literally just me spitting on the ground," and then Jalen Carter spit right back at him. Yeah. So I mean,
but he didn't spit in his face. He spit on his jersey.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, like to some capacity, there's a little wiggle room. I mean, he didn't spit in his face. He spat on his jersey. So I mean, it's still nasty, still disgusting.
Yeah.
But there's a 15-yard penalty that you can give for these type of situations. Ejecting him, I don't know if it was grounds to eject him in not even the first 2 minutes of a football game. He didn't play a snap. I would have personally gave the 15-yard penalty, let him know that he's pretty much on thin ice for the rest of this game. Anything else stupid, it would be ejected. He would be ejected. And then the NFL would have been left to do what they normally do, which is fine the hell out of guys for doing stupid stuff when winning the game, right? So you're right. In that moment, the officials became bigger than, I won't say bigger than what they needed to be, but they took it upon themselves to plant their flag right at the beginning of the game. And then for the rest of the game, they let guys fight, push each other, and all type of stuff. So it was just like, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
where is the line drawn on what is not acceptable, or what are the boundaries for where referees have to interfere and kind of put a grasp on the game? I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's something we'll watch for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
though.
and I think also from the other side, it is important to note this is also week one for the officials. You know what I mean? And like it was such a high intensity, such just pure like aggressiveness towards like there was just so much hatred. It felt like between the
I like
teams.
it,
and that was awesome.
I like
but
it.
I feel like that put the refs in such a tough spot to officiate from the rest of the game because they already set that precedent before the first snap occurred, and they had the fight after the kickoff because the fullback got injured on the Eagles, and then that happens right after. Like,
and then there was another fight.
Emotions were high. I mean, like what do you do? Like, I get it to a certain extent, but at the same time, like maybe we're cherry picking here. Like maybe we are really just honing in on one situation, but the bigger problem is this is happening consistently at all levels of sports right now.
And there's going to be somebody that absolutely says Jalen Carter should have been ejected because that was crazy.
Sure,
there's going to be people that say that, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
But I am saying that at some point we didn't come to see the referees.
Yeah, that's
and I want to make sure they understand that nobody paid to see the guys in stripes. Just saying. All right. Let's move on, Coach. That's been our game, who's cooking and who should stay the fuck out the kitchen. Let's move on to our favorite halftime report. Oh, yeah. And right off the top, Coach, let's get right into it. Probably, arguably, the guy that I really wanted for the Bears to go out and get and do their damnness to make it happen. Of course, just like in Ryan Poles fashion, he was asleep, didn't get it, or felt like we didn't need it, I guess. I don't know. There's not even a report that says we even tried to call to see if it could happen. Even the Philadelphia Eagles had the audacity to think that they could try to make a trade within division. And that is Micah Parsons being traded to the Green Bay Packers, of all places, right? So here we have this guy who was formerly teammates, one of our very own, I believe, is Jaquan Brisker at Penn State. And they're playing this game throughout the offseason. I'm like, well, where can Micah go? And Micah really wants to be with the Bears. He really wants to bring that Monsters to the Midway back, and he would love to be over here because he loves what we're doing, and he already has a former teammate here in Jaquan. And there was so much lining up to make it seem like there was an opportunity there for the Bears to jump on the Micah Parsons trade and try to get an opportunity to get there, be in touch with Dallas, be in touch with Micah's agent, try to facilitate something. And we don't make that happen. And instead, we let our most, I guess, hated rival in our division land the guy that I have been saying we desperately need to solidify this defensive line. Because I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. We do not have a dominant pass rusher. Montez Sweat is not that. He's a good containing rusher. He can set the edge well to help against the run, but he's not a big sack guy. He's not getting after the quarterback like that, and we don't have anybody like that. Now, people are trying to tell us, and they're trying to promote to us that we have some guys that we think could potentially. I don't give a damn about that. Don't try to promote to me potential, especially when you're trying to talk in code about how this year is a big one and Caleb needs to be showing a lot of signs of improvement, and Ben Johnson is coming in with a whole new offensive scheme, and he's a hell of a minded coach, and Dennis Allen wants to be aggressive and no more passive defense like we've had with Matt Eberflus and this vanilla look. But you don't go out and make it happen that you get somebody like Micah Parsons. Hell, why weren't we calling Cincinnati for Trey Hendrickson? This guy only signed a 1-year contract to stay. Where is our aggressiveness in trying to make sure that this season goes the way that they are projecting it to be? And if anybody has been watching the Bears in the preseason, which we'll get to when it comes down to that finale, that defensive line did not look impressive to me. Not one bit. Especially when we got to that last preseason game. Now, I gave it a caveat against Buffalo when I said that we had been practicing against them all week. And so playing against them was pretty much like an open scrimmage. It wasn't like something that was foreign. And when we ended up playing somebody that we hadn't practiced against all week, it didn't look so pretty. Didn't look so good. So, with that being said, how the hell did we let Micah Parsons get to Green Bay, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably the worst situation that could have happened out of any destination he could have gone to. Like there was, there was different rumors of him going elsewhere and him possibly staying in Dallas and maybe ultimately signing a new deal. Which honestly, like, just staying on the Micah deal for a second. Green Bay
got him for nothing.
I wouldn't say that.
Man, 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark.
Yeah,
Kenny Clark is not like a bum, so don't get me wrong. Right. He's not a bum.
Kenny Clark was their best defensive
lineman. Yeah, the best defensive lineman. He's
also,
not a bum. He's not a bum.
I mean, also giving up 2 first-round picks. Like, yes, that it's a lot, but like when you realize who you're trading for, it does make sense. But the Packers are betting on themselves here. Like they're giving themselves this window, and now they're paying Jordan Love top 5 quarterback money. Now you're paying Micah Parsons top 2 edge rusher money. It's a real big bet. Like I think both of them are taking up almost 50% of the salary cap on that team. Yeah. So now try to plug in different players in different areas when they just lost Jair Alexander this last offseason. You've got all the rookie wide receivers, right? I mean, you got Matthew Golden, like Josh Jacobs, and his contract, I believe, is coming to an end in the next year or two. Like, they're betting on now. And I got to see it to believe it, Coach. Like, I'm not a believer in this Green Bay team, not just speaking as a Chicago fan, but just from an NFL, just a football like analytical standpoint, like just watching them, how they played against San Francisco and how they played throughout the season when they did lose their games, I think there's still a lot of holes on that team that need to be plugged and filled. And I don't know if paying an edge rusher almost $50 million is that answer.
Well, it's not about whether or not Green Bay is going to be good. I could give two fucks about whether or not they're going to be good. The thing about it to me is I'm concerned about the Chicago Bears not being good.
Yes, now
not addressing our pass rush issue.
Yeah,
we don't have it.
That's my that is.
And
then
you allow one of the best pass rushers to be in your backyard.
Yeah, that is a very big concern of mine as well. Is definitely the defensive line. Honestly, it's probably my biggest concern on this team at the moment. I don't think Dio is your answer. I think they're also concerned about what Dio has been doing in training camp. So, I mean, at the same time, when you look at it, two other teams in our division also passed up on Micah and let them into their backyard. Yes, we have this storied, historic rivalry with Green Bay, but Minnesota and Detroit are right there as well.
Yeah, but they don't. Minnesota, they have a decent defensive line. So does Detroit. Green Bay needed the help on edge. They had the interior pretty good with Kenny Clark, but their pass rush was very bad too. What I'm saying is, though, you have two teams that are betting on young quarterbacks. Two teams that are betting on offensive-minded head coaches. Two teams that are betting on smart defensive coordinators that know how to use talent.
Technically, three.
I'm just speaking of the two teams that don't have good defensive lines and good. Obviously, you got Minnesota who has a young quarterback and stuff like that too. But what I'm saying is, the compare and contrast between the Chicago Bears and Green Bay is very, in my opinion, is very parallel in a sense. Now, we're not paying Caleb Williams as of yet, right? We're not paying him as of yet, but we will be.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the reason you don't trade for Micah. Cool. I don't know, but say that. Where's the article? We gotten information about every single thing leading up to this trade about interest in Micah. And Micah, it is all type of rumors, but we don't get any type of information that says that the Bears even tried to knock on the door to the Dallas Cowboys front office to say, hey, what could it potentially take? No information about that. No information about Trey Hendrickson. We can't even pick up Zadarius Smith. He's gone to the Philadelphia Eagles now on a 1-year deal. What the hell are we doing?
I mean, I think it's also important to consider the salary cap situation that the Bears are now in after paying these players in the offseason. Going into the season, I mean, just the other day, we had to restructure Jalen Johnson's contract, which saved us $8 million in cap space. I saw that. Yeah. But, I mean, that could just literally be – I don't think that's for a signing. Like, running costs just to run an NFL program are about $6 to $7 million for the year. So – and they only had about $1 million left in salary cap to use for this year. So maybe, like, that's the concern, is the hesitancy with how your salary cap would look, considering you just paid a Grady Jarrett for 3 years. You just paid Dio for 3 years. You just paid a lot of these guys
Joe
for 3
Thuney,
years.
You paid Joe Thuney.
That's what I mean. Like,
something for John Jackson.
Everybody's on a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
And, like, this is the window that they've set up for themselves until Caleb hits that extension, right? And I don't know. Like, that's, with Micah, if you were to make that trade, it doesn't make sense to make that trade unless you're going to sign him for the long term like Green Bay did.
And I think you give up what you need to give up to make that deal done. There's nobody on this team in my mind outside of possibly the quarterback position and obviously the offensive line that we've put together. Outside of that, in my opinion, anybody is free game. Maybe except Jalen. Outside of that, you telling me Rome is more important than Micah? DJ Moore is more important than Micah? Tremaine Edmonds is more important than Micah? Jaquan is more important. There's nobody else outside of Caleb and the offensive line that we've put together that I would say is more important than trying to get Micah Parsons on your edge.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I think. I think ultimately what led them possibly to this
non-deciding of trying to go after Michael Parsons is the money.
Yeah, that, but also, like, I think the Bears have been struggling with finding out who's that starting left tackle going to be. And I think in a trade to Dallas, who could definitely use a starting left tackle, they weren't confident that if they were to move Braxton Jones, that anybody could step up into that left tackle position and fill the need of their blindside blocker for Caleb. I think that was the big thing because I think that is how you get the deal done. You have to throw in Braxton Jones and probably a boatload of picks and probably somebody that's got somewhat of a contract to trade in order to make the money make sense for Micah. So, I mean, I hate that he's in Green Bay. Like, of course I do. I'm going to hate seeing him twice a year.
Yep.
It's going to suck. I know the Bears are not excited for that. I know Caleb's not excited for that. But
it is what it is at this point.
It is what it is, and you got to look at the long-term overall scope that they are trying to implement.
Well, long-term, get us a goddamn edge rusher, Ryan Poles. Figure that out. Yeah. I don't care how you figure it out, but figure it out. Because this defensive line that we have is not going to give the pressure that is going to be required to beat a lot of great quarterbacks in the NFL this season. And what I foresee is a lot of blitzing that we're going to have to do in order to put pressure on the quarterback. And that does not bode well for the passing game.
I mean, we'll see. Like, we know that is Dennis Allen's scheme. He's one of the top blitzers and coordinators in the league.
But it helps when you got a 4-man rush that can also help you with
Of course, you got to generate as many one-on-ones as possible.
Yes. All right, let's move on to the next topic in the halftime report, and that is Kenny Pickett, the former Cleveland Brown quarterback who is now the Las Vegas quarterback, who was traded. And I guess for me, what this means, in my opinion, is that there is a slight chance that Shedeur's time could be on the horizon. Now, right now, he is slotted at quarterback 3, which tells us that there's obviously no chance in hell unless something happens to both Joe Flacco and Dillon Gabriel, or somehow throughout the course of the season in practices with the 2s and the 3s, that Shedeur just starts to look 10 times better than Dillon Gabriel. Myself, I thought already Shedeur proved that he looks better than Dillon Gabriel, but according to Kevin Stefanski, that's a negative. Whatever it is, that's not true. He has Shedeur slotted at quarterback 3. However, with Kenny Pickett gone, that does leave room for the future of the Cleveland Browns quarterback position to be in the fighting hands of Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Because what we did believe was that after Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett was clearly the front runner to be the future quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, given that he's been in the league a little bit longer, but he's also young at the same time. Now that Kenny Pickett has left the quarterback room in Cleveland, it opens up that future opportunity for who will rise up to be the next face of the quarterback position in Cleveland in the hands of Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur. I personally think that Joe Flacco is not going to perform well to start the season. I'm not saying he's going to get hurt because I won't wish that on him, but I don't think he's going to perform well. With that being said, that's going to leave, obviously, Coach Stefanski, as we talked about earlier, in a position where he's going to have to choose between Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders to become the next quarterback for Cleveland once Joe Flacco proves that he's a little bit aged out and he needs to just be a solid backup quarterback. If that does happen, which I think will happen, I don't see how there's any way in hell that you choose Dillon Gabriel over Shedeur Sanders to slot in replacing Joe Flacco. So I think with the Kenny Pickett trade, that is signifying that Shedeur is not off the radar for potentially becoming the Cleveland Browns quarterback. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely with you on this trade, definitely putting Shedeur on the radar, because I do believe before this trade, he was completely off it. Like, there was no chance unless some freak accident were to happen and he instantaneously becomes quarterback 1, that he would even see the field this year unless it was a big blowout. And at that point, Dillon Gabriel's going to see the field.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, I think maybe this is kind of not a bet, but in a way just seeing how Shedeur performed in training camp, see how he interacted with other players, seeing how he held himself during press conferences and on the field, off the field. And maybe they like what they saw. Like, maybe they truly did like some of it.
Is it they or GM Andrew Berry?
See, that's what I don't know. It probably is. It probably is. And that's definitely who's chirping down, Kevin Stefanski's ear that, all right, we got to get this kid some reps in. Like, from what I've heard, that Shedeur hasn't even taken many reps with the ones at all. I'm pretty sure he was just with the 2s and the 3s for the entirety of training camp.
And the last game they played, they had him out there with an offensive line that all got cut.
Yeah, which, granted, being quarterback 3 on the roster and playing in the preseason game, usually those guys don't make the roster unless you just have an insanely deep O-line room. So, like, at the same time, like, I get it. Like, I get that argument too, but I don't know. I think it's a weird situation to be in if you're Kevin Stefanski, because, like we mentioned earlier, you've definitely got the devil on one shoulder, you got the angel on the other. Maybe it's 2 angels, and you got to decide which one do you think ultimately will be best. And do we know what direction that is for now? I mean, yeah, I think his decision was Dillon Gabriel at quarterback too.
But so my question for you is: do you think Dillon Gabriel outperformed Shedeur through the course of from what we were hearing in training camp and what we saw in the preseason?
No.
So my thing is, there can only be one reason why Dillon Gabriel is quarterback too, and it has to be because of the ownership. It has to be because Shedeur wasn't necessarily the pick of the coach or the owner. It has to be that because Andrew Berry decided to make this choice, as they're trying to make it seem like on his own, that's why Shedeur is quarterback 3, because it makes no sense based upon what we saw, based upon just their size, their difference in size between each other. It would make no sense for you to think that Dillon Gabriel should be quarterback 2.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I do genuinely believe it is an ownership situation where it's just one guy that they didn't want, but he's here, so you have to deal with it.
And you think that's the GM making that call?
So
do you think the Kenny Pickett trade was something that the ownership wanted or the coach wanted, or do you think the GM just did this on his own?
I mean, I definitely think it was a conversation between Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski.
Okay.
Like, what's the point of carrying 4 quarterbacks on the roster? Like, we know damn near no organization in the NFL does that. Like,
not too often.
Even walking into this training camp, it was still crazy to see, like, you've got 4 guys.
And they had added another quarterback during the preseason.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There was a real conversation of, like, any 4 of these guys could end up being your starter week 1.
Yeah.
You don't see that in the NFL. You haven't seen that in any other organization. So, just tough luck for Cleveland, man. But y'all deserve it.
They deserve it. Yeah, I don't know, Coach. I'm interested to see how this works out. Like I said, my prediction is that Joe Flacco does not perform the way that people think, and it's going to leave things up in the air, and you're going to hear a lot of chirping about, why isn't Shedeur playing? Why isn't Shedeur playing? Why isn't Shedeur playing? And I guess you would have to put Dillon Gabriel in just because he's quarterback 2.
Mm-hmm.
And leave it up to him to perform so well that Shedeur doesn't get a chance. But I literally see that Shedeur will literally have to wait for Joe Flacco to perform bad and for Dillon Gabriel to perform bad in order for him to get an opportunity, which is insane to me, because in my mind, if there was a quarterback that you should have traded with all of the hoopla and spectacle about how we didn't want this kid, why the hell didn't you trade him to Las Vegas and you traded Kenny Pickett instead? Like, that makes zero sense to me. You don't want the kid, but you're keeping him on your roster.
Exactly.
Money is a hell of a drug, Coach.
It damn sure is.
It's a hell of a drug. All right, moving on to the last portion of the halftime report, our last segment. All right, the Bears play Monday against Minnesota, but let's talk about this preseason finale that they had against former Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. that game did not go too well when it came down to the starters versus the starters. Now, our backups came in and did what they did, kicked ass. Tyson Bagent came in and did his thing, who, for me, people might not like this.
Even say it.
People might not like this.
We'll go 10-7 with Tyson, but we'll go 7-10 with Caleb.
I'm not.
I've heard all the hoopla.
All I'm gonna say is, I for one really want to see what Tyson Bagent would look like with the starting group. I really want to see what he would look like with those guys in comparison to Caleb. Because every time he goes out there, he looks like he's under control. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't look overwhelmed. He looks very poised in the pocket, out the pocket. And people can make the argument, okay, he's playing against the twos. Well, that's the people that he has to play against. It's not his fault. But every single time he goes out there, he gets us a W. He literally had to come back in this game to help us win with a last winning drive at the end of the game, a game-winning drive at the end of the game, with an incredible throw towards the sideline in the back of the end zone. Crazy throw. Right on a rope and right on a string. And so all I'm saying is Caleb did not look well in that last preseason game. The Bears starting offense and starting defense did not look so hot. Kansas City was pretty much having their way with him, at least their first string. And it wasn't until the backups came in that it started to look like a football game. That was very concerning to me, seeing how most Bears fans were on a fucking amphetamine-driven high when it came down to the game against Buffalo and how we whooped their ass 38-0. And you had all these Bears fans just being like, it's Super Bowl, baby. We look good. Caleb looks good. Ben Johnson in the offense. Yeah. It was so much. And I, for one, didn't want to, deflate the air balloon and be like, all right, slow down. But I knew I needed to see them play against a team they hadn't practiced against all week. And when it came down to it, the showing was not so great. So I know I said a lot. I know I said I want to see Tyson Bagent with the first string and see how he looks, because I really think he could be our quarterback one. But with that being said, how did you feel about the Bears preseason finale? Was it a problem to you? Was it not a problem to you? Was there things that bothered you? Or was it just, hey, you know what, preseason finale, let's wait until we get to the regular season to really start feeling like we got some concerns?
Yeah, I mean, definitely to a certain extent, there's some concerns in the performance they put up, more specifically before the snap. Those infraction penalties, whether it's false starts, whether it's illegal motions. That's been a whole topic of conversation throughout training camp, considering it's a new system, a very complex and detailed system. You got to be on the details. And if you mess anything up, that will be a penalty. And we definitely saw that against Kansas City. And maybe it was some eagerness. Maybe it was some tension. Maybe it was just a prolonged, call it sickness from what's been going on in training camp. But that's something that definitely needs to be eliminated come week one, because we know how crucial those downs are and how crucial a penalty like that can be. You get a decent gain on first down, it's 2nd and 5, false start, guess what? You're back damn near like you did nothing on first down, and that screws up your whole drive. So, but at the same time, like, I take it with a grain of salt with some of the things I saw. Like, I wasn't disappointed with Caleb's performance. I thought some of the balls he threw were pretty damn good balls, good placement, exactly where they should be. I also think he missed some throws, meaning not overthrew them, but simply didn't find the open guy. Like, we definitely could have had a touchdown on one of those drives, but he missed the open guy in the end zone and, resulted, I think, in just 3 points or even in a punt. So that's something that's, of course, of concern, but grain of salt considering we don't see, I think, even 10% of what this offense is going to do during the actual when the regular season comes around. Ben Johnson said it going into week 2. Like, this is an old scheme. This is an old play sheet. He just dusted off and pulled out for this game. So I don't think in any way necessary what we saw against Kansas City, what we saw against Buffalo is even going to reflect what actually occurs in this season. Like, there's going to be a multitude of different things that I don't even think we thought were possible with this offense That's my personal opinion. Now, going to the Tyson Bagent side of it, I think preposterous statement for one, because Carm of CHGO is saying the same thing. Like what I said with Caleb, they're going to go 7-10. But I think if Tyson Bagent's in the game, it's going to be 10-7. I think that's crazy to say.
Why?
When he played a couple of games, granted it was his rookie season, the only career stats he has is 3 touchdowns and 6 picks. I mean, is that somebody you have a vote of confidence in to put in your starting slot and run with the ones against some of the best defenses in the league? In my opinion, no.
Yes, with this revamped offensive line. I mean, that's the same argument that I had with Justin Fields, which was we never really found out what Justin Fields could be with the Bears because everything around him was a piece of shit. As far as offensively, defensively we were fine, but offensively we had nothing around him. And then we literally got one receiver the last season that he was with us, and then after that he was gone. Caleb has had an opportunity to have a team kind of built around him to be a little bit more formidable, to have talent around him on the offense. Now he has more talent on the offensive line than he did last season. He has more weapons and different things like that. So Caleb has an opportunity to be able to excel way more than Justin or anybody else. But the thing about it, though, is what Carm and many other people will be saying in our viewing of this is just that if Tyson is able to do what he's doing with the lesser talent, with the second string, then we can make an argument that based upon how he was performing in the preseason, that with the first string, he might look spectacular. You can make that argument. You can give that that statement based upon what you're looking at. If he's doing well with the second string, why can't he do well with the first string?
So this is how I view it. Now, I'm going to bring it to high school for a second. You've got a freshman that's balling out at his grade level.
Yeah.
Does that automatically mean you bring him up to varsity, he's going to ball out and become a starter?
No, that's not necessarily
this is my point.
But I don't think that's symmetrical. I don't think that's a symmetrical thing between Caleb and Tyson because the argument is they're both 2-year players. Tyson was a rookie last year.
No, he was a rookie when Justin Fields.
Last season.
He's got a year on Caleb.
He got a year on Caleb. Okay, so Tyson has a year on Caleb, just one. But they're both still learning a whole new system at the same time.
Yeah, that's correct.
So if one of them is looking more poised and polished, learning the same system at the same time, that doesn't say anything to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I think if we're going to just not credit what the first team is able to do in preseason because it's preseason, I believe we should be able to do the same with the twos because they're running against the twos.
So wait, so you're saying if I'm able to say that Caleb looks bad against the first string, then Tyson looking good against the second string should also mean nothing too?
Because it's preseason.
Okay. That's why I said I want to see him with the first string.
Yeah,
because I can see that being your base argument as well, and I can say, fine, I'm not arguing against that. But what I am saying is I've seen enough from Caleb in both games where I'm just like, okay, you look good against the team you practice against all week. But when you have to
all right, let's stop saying this all week stuff because they practice for one day.
Okay, one day you had an opportunity.
1 day for 2 hours.
That's fine. You had an opportunity to see them before. You didn't have an opportunity to see Kansas City before. So you got a chance.
Right, but, okay, yeah. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But I also look at the Buffalo game, and I also don't credit the offense so much how people were on Twitter and on X because
the defense played great.
No, I'm saying the Buffalo defense didn't even have all of their ones in. Like that's the lens I'm looking at it from. Like this offense hasn't proved to me enough against a full set of starters.
We'll keep that perspective. Since Buffalo didn't even have all of their first string in, and we look good against half first string and half didn't, and then we played a full first string against Kansas City and we didn't look good at all. Doesn't that alarm you?
But it's not like we didn't look good at all. There was mishaps in pre-snap. There were missed touchdown throws, but there were also great completions, explosive games.
So let me ask you this. The score was about 10. I think the score was like 10-3.
No, I think it was 17-3, I believe. Yeah.
Well, by the time all the first string got out,
10-3.
I think it was like 10-3 or 13-3,
so.
somewhere along that lines. I don't think the game was that out of hand, but it was like 10-3, 13-3. Let's say that the first string stayed in the whole game. Based upon that projection, we're losing the game. Based upon where that was, 13-3, there's a chance we lose that game. So with that being said, does that still not alarm you?
No. Again, because it's preseason. And
okay.
What I don't necessarily think it's me being like, oh, like Caleb is this much better than Tyson, which I do believe, but
I know you believe that.
But like my whole thing is like we haven't seen an ounce of what Ben Johnson's gonna do this year. That's my thing.
No. We haven't. But even with the little bit that we've seen him try to do, him saying he dusted off an old playbook and still there was struggle with it from one quarterback, but there wasn't struggle with it from another quarterback. To me, that's problematic.
Yeah, but you're also playing two completely different skill levels. Like, that's also important to know.
Okay, well, let's not act like, okay, I get it. There's a first string and second string.
Let's be real. The NFL rosters go from 90 to 53. How many of those second and third stringers that Tyson Bagent was playing actually made the roster? Guarantee you, most of that 11 that was on the field at the end of the game probably didn't make the roster.
I don't know that for sure. I would have to look at who was out there playing the field. But what I'm saying is, let's not pretend like the second string guys are so far off from the first string. Like, I get it. The starters are the starters for a reason. But those second string guys are not that goddamn bad. It's not like it's the third string guy. It's not like Tyson Bagent is quarterback 3 and he's out there playing against the third string cornerbacks and defensive linemen. Like, he's still playing against decent guys that are expected to back up first string guys, even expected to be a part of nickel coverages, dime coverages, and secondary packages and things like that. They're a part of that rotation, especially across that defensive line when guys need rest and stuff like that. That's who Tyson Bagent is playing against, guys that will actually most likely make rosters and see the field. With that being said, what I'm saying is just based upon his play, he looked way more poised. He looked better than Caleb throughout the preseason. Whether people want to accept that or not is up to them, and obviously up to you too. But what I'm saying is he did look better. His numbers even look better.
I don't think you could say in the Buffalo game that Tyson Bagent looked better than Caleb Williams.
How did it not?
I don't think you can.
Okay, well,
I don't think.
Okay, well, he definitely looked better than him in the Kansas City game.
Of course he did, but so did the entire offense because, again...
No, the entire offense looked better with him in the Kansas City game. The entire offense did not look great with Caleb in the Kansas City game.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the entire offense, which includes, like, there's no... Like, we're saying as if, like, Tyson was playing with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze.
But what I'm saying is, what do you think he would look like if he was?
I don't think much.
Yeah, see, that's what.
Okay, here's the thing.
That's where you
tripping. Because
you tripping now,
bro. We're talking about Caleb Williams as if he's like this gone commodity that has no value at the thrift store. This bro won the goddamn Heisman.
So
bro.
what? Like, Matt Leinart did too, and he was ass.
Okay, great, but look where we are right now. Like he's going into his second year. The amount of spotlight this kid has had is preposterous. Like, to say that a backup quarterback could step into his role and play way better than him, there is no proof of that. Tyson Bagent didn't show any of that throughout his whole football career.
He showed that in the preseason that he's played better than Caleb.
Hold on, what season?
In this season.
What season?
This season.
The preseason.
Right.
Not the actual season. When it matters.
He hasn't.
Right? Because let's think about it.
Okay.
The past, 3 years, the Bears have gone undefeated in the preseason. How great have we been? So the preseason matters so much now?
No,
how people are performing?
No. It's not, but it's not blanketed in such that in such that qualifying. It's blanketed, or it's not blanketed in that way. It's blanketed in the fact that when you're just evaluating Tyson, right? This is not a discussion of whether the Bears are going to be better based upon what happened in preseason. Right now, we're just locking in on Tyson himself. And all we're saying is people who are saying what I'm saying and seeing what I'm seeing, we're saying, look at this kid and look what he did during preseason. It was from week 1 all the way to week 3. He was doing his job. That's how he earned his contract. He earned his contract based upon his preseason play. That deal was not given to him until week 3. until the end of preseason.
Right. So
what I'm saying is, clearly, people in the Bears organization saw that and said, yeah. And what I'm saying is, if they're saying yeah, I'm saying I want some more. Because I do believe, based upon just him solely and how he played, there is room to say, well, what would he look like with the first string? What would he actually look like? Because if he's looking this good and looking this poised behind Caleb, what if he slotted right there? What would he look like? And there's room to speculate that. And there's room to ask that based upon how he performed. Will it happen? Maybe not, unless something happens to Caleb or Caleb plays really bad. All I'm saying is I can see that world, and I can see reason why people would have a speculation to believe that Tyson may be able to carry this first-string offense much better than Caleb. Do I want Caleb to succeed? Of course I do. Because he's my quarterback one, and I want the Bears to be good. But I think we got a really good backup. And if I'm Ben Johnson, I'm not holding long to the Caleb Williams experience knowing that I got Tyson back there. If Caleb does not show me what I need to see in the first 2 to 3 weeks of this season, I'm yanking his ass. And I'm putting Tyson in there.
And this is why Bears fans are labeled as some of the most annoying fans on X, because we just say the most outlandish stuff possible.
That's not outlandish.
It's absolutely outlandish.
Bruh. We don't have time. We don't have much time.
We don't have time.
Yeah, because this window to win is short, right? We got to pay Caleb at some point. So we got to make a decision on whether or not this guy is the franchise guy.
Right, and then let's go ahead, bench him, let's trade him, and then let's watch another quarterback leave our team and succeed in a different franchise, right? Is that what we're saying?
I don't know. He may or may not. We've seen plenty of guys leave and be bad. We've seen plenty of guys leave and not have a good career. And yes, as of late, we've seen some guys turn their career around. All I'm saying is I won't give a damn if Tyson Bagent end up being the guy that we need at $5 million a year. I won't be mad at all. I won't be upset not one bit if it turns out that Tyson Bagent at $5 million a year for the next 2 years can be the guy that we need to get us to where we're trying to go. Because his poise, his ability, his arm strength, his ability to get out the pocket and all those things are there. And it's not that it would be different if he was Austin Reed or Case Keenum with his ability to do things. But that's not the case. The kid actually has talent.
Yes, he does. But again, I'm just going to end it with this. I have no much else to say, but I think it's outlandish to say that a quarterback would come in and play better as a starter versus the guy starting right now when there hasn't been a single game in this man's career when he's been game planned against, when people are studying film on him the whole week leading up to the game. Outlandish statement. That's like saying, I don't even know what that's like saying. Like, honestly, that's like me saying, okay, I'm prepping for this kid like we coached last year. I've been prepping, I've been scouting, we've been doing film work on this kid the entire year, right? So we're going to game plan our defense to stop this kid. So now you're telling me going into this year, just because some kid came off the bench and put up some okay numbers and maybe did pretty okay in the fall league and pretty damn good in the fall league, that, all of a sudden, now I have to worry and I have to game plan against him. I don't think that makes sense. There hasn't been one game plan set against Tyson Bagent. We haven't seen anything on what he could do with starters, and I don't think there's any need to at the moment.
No, there's not a need to at the moment.
You're making it seem like it is because you're saying...
No, I'm saying you're right. There's not a need to at the moment. At the moment, but that's the key phrase. At the moment.
Because everything is situational.
Yes. And
if Patrick Mahomes plays badly this year, you think they won't consider going out, like
they're
possibly pivoting?
No, they're going to bring the backup in. But Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. That's different. Caleb Williams is not Patrick Mahomes, so let's not do that.
Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams.
Exactly.
Is what I'm saying.
And Caleb Williams has not proved anything. So with that being said, what I'm saying is, at the moment, no, Tyson Bagent shouldn't be playing with the starters.
No.
I said I wanted to see what he would look like. That's not me saying that he needs to. I would like to see it because I just want to see it because he played so well in the preseason and he played really well. But what I am saying though is, based upon his performance and his poise and the things that he was doing in the preseason. If Caleb does not show that he can grasp this offense, if Caleb is still showing signs of being short-sighted and hesitant in the pocket, if Caleb is still showing signs of not having poise, if Caleb is still showing signs of missing throws and missing guys on the field, if I'm Ben Johnson, I don't wait too goddamn long to pull the plug on the Caleb Williams experience.
Okay,
and I bring Tyson in.
So riddle me this. So
Yes.
you haven't seen anything from Caleb that you would label as an improvement from last year?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
So what's the deal with Tyson having this poise? As if Caleb hasn't stepped up in both of the games and showed more trust in the offensive line, more poise,
No, he
more
showed
accuracy. So what? There is no logic in being like, oh, well, I want to see how Tyson goes with the ones. There is no reason to. Just because I want to, that's not a reason
No.
in any classroom.
The execution from Caleb Williams has not been the same as Tyson Badgett. It hasn't.
Yeah, but again, way different competitive level. Way different competitive level.
Okay. All right. And that's why I said, in order for me to know for sure, I need to see Tyson with the starters at some point. I wished it would have happened during the season. Like, I really wish that at the preseason finale, half of that first quarter, Tyson would have came in with the starters just so we could see what it would look like. But I know for sure Ben Johnson wouldn't do shit like that because it would only start problems.
Exactly.
Because if Tyson did actually go in with the starters and look good, now we got a fucking problem on our hands.
Exactly.
And
Now
he's a smart head coach not to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, let's just continue to talk theoreticals and whoa, I would want to see this because I just want it to happen.
Well, that's what we do, coach. That's what we do. It's podcasting, baby. That's what we do.
But not to that extent. Like that's why Carm gets such low ratings and things he says, and people call him out in Bears media for the stuff he says.
Because he's willing to say things firsthand.
That are preposterous. That make absolutely no sense.
No, it's not that it doesn't make sense. It's just outside of the box and outside of the thinking and a little bit ahead of the curve.
You know what, Coach? You're the problem.
I'm the problem?
You're the problem in the Bears community.
Wow. God damn, how did we get here? How am I the problem?
You're the problem.
How?
Because there's fans like you that have already written off Caleb.
I haven't written them off.
You wrote him off last year. Like, be honest with yourself.
Last year I said that he was not performing like a number 1 overall pick, and that is fact. That is a fact. He did not perform like a number 1 overall pick.
Again, but we could talk theoreticals in different instances, but when we can't talk theoreticals with Caleb Williams, right? Oh, what if he actually had an offensive line that could decently protect him when he's throwing the ball? What if he actually had a competent offensive scheme and a competent offensive coordinator to coordinate the offense in a way that gets wide receivers wide open? I don't know about you. I hope we're watching the same game, but I saw wide receivers so much more open this preseason than I think I've ever seen watching Bears football.
Yeah, and Conrad. And when I said the same thing about Justin Fields, the entire Bears community said the people who were following Justin Fields and wanted to keep Justin Fields were absolutely preposterous and dumb and thinking that theoretically, if Justin would have had all of these things that Caleb had, that he would be a better quarterback too, right? But now that I won't give this so-called theoretical proposal to Caleb, now it's problematic. No. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the facts are this. Justin had nothing. Caleb has what he has, right? So now we're on the Caleb train. I want to see Caleb do well. But what I am saying is I saw Tyson Badgett play well the entire preseason. He looked good the entire time. Every single time he got on the field, he looked great. Whether people want to say it or not, I'm saying it. And Carmen's saying it.
So you're saying flawless performance.
He had great perperformances week 1 to week 3.
Just not true. He almost threw a couple of picks in that Kansas City game.
Almost. Did it happen?
Because the second string defense dropped the pick.
Did it happen?
My point is proven because the second string defense dropped the pick, and Trent McDuffie is not dropping that pick.
All right, well we're gonna see exactly what the Chicago Bears look like on Monday when they play the Minnesota Vikings week 1 against play Minnesota week 1, and we're gonna find out just how much this new offense from the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams has adjusted and what this new playbook is gonna look like and how well Caleb Williams is gonna perform. But I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire, Coach, because if he doesn't perform well, I don't want you coming here on this soapbox being like, well, it's week 1, and so we have to give them time. I'm not going to let you do that shit. It's starting because you're starting to be the problem with the Bears community.
Okay.
Because that's what it's really starting to be
the problem.
Yeah, guys that don't want to hold guys to true accountability and just want to hold on to what they believe could be the case.
Because Detroit was so great in year one of Ben Johnson's offense.
So we already got one.
No,
we already got a caveat.
I'm just stating facts.
We already got a cop out.
Again, just stating
we got to
facts.
give Ben Johnson a year 2. So we got to give Ben Johnson a year 2, Caleb Williams a year 2.
Again,
do they need a honeymoon phase?
Just stating fact again.
Do they need a honeymoon phase? Do they need a vacation retreat?
I'm just stating fact. That's all I'm going to leave it at.
Maybe they need a Chicago Bears potluck too. Maybe they need more team chemistry. Is that what we're going to go with too?
I don't know, Coach. You tell me.
All right. It's been another episode of the Halftime Podcast. It's episode 48. Again, we want you to follow and subscribe to the YouTube page at the Halftime Pod, as well as following Coach Conrad at Coach KDZ and following me, Coach Malcolm, at Coach M_Got it. As always, to the Halftime community, peace, blessings, and prosperity to you. And on the way out, you know how it goes. It's See Red and Bear Down, baby.